We have a lot of vocal stems. A lot of vocal stems.
A lot of vocal stems,
ticks.
folks. We're doing a lot of vocal stems.
A lot of people like to stem.
And that's us.
We have... Do you think we have ADHD or autism? Chat, leave a comment below.
I don't give a shit, you said?
Welcome back to Stream Queens. I'm Julia.
I'm Erin.
We are the Bushwick intellectual class. We are the Bushwick intellectual class with the definitive take on television.
We are highly, highly educated via the School of Television, NYU. And we are roommates who watch TV together and have for a full decade.
Oh, a decade of experience in each other. Like,
yeah.
This analysis of White Lotus season 3, episode 7.
Yeah.
The penultimate episode.
Mark
your calendars. Next Sunday is the last one.
I know. I'm so like,
Should we get White Lotus tattoos?
I'm just sad. Like, I just don't want it to be over. But I mean, I'm excited. Like, I'm excited for the finale, but I feel the mix that I always feel like where I'm already pre-nostalgic. You know what I mean? Like, I'm feeling already like, oh, how much I'm going to miss this when it's over.
I certainly have like paused watching a television show like 2 or 3 episodes from what I know is the finale to like savor it.
Right. But you can't do that with this because we owe the people our character analysis and our kind of, you know, the people want to hear what we think. So we can't even kind of
We'll always have this to share.
We'll always have this. We'll always have this podcast.
I don't really want anybody to die. I haven't felt like that on previous seasons.
I know. I really don't want anyone to die. Like, I love all these people. I feel like they're some of my best friends. They're all very complicated and nuanced. Well, which my best friends are, and I have complicated feelings about them. I don't think they're all good people, but I love them.
And they're actually standing right now. Guys, come on out. we do what it shock. What is that? Like Maury Povich style? What is that? It doesn't matter.
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think
is he reveal? Is he the father?
Yeah. Everyone here, are they your friend? Yes.
Are they my father?
No. R.I.P. Chuck.
R.I.P. Chuck.
You would have loved Stream Queens the pod.
You would have loved Stream Queens the pod, and maybe White Lotus as well.
Yeah, and also, I mean, again, like this episode we're about to get into, the finance, the family business runaround finance it's close to home for me personally.
Me as well.
Where it's just like, I'm sick.
Yeah, me as well. There were definitely several moments, which I think we'll save for when we get into. But I mean, the Timothy, my dad parallels are out of goddamn control.
In a way that it's like somebody's been reading the journal. We've been hacked.
Yeah, we've been hacked. And again, and also same way with like my arc over the season I predicted it early in the pod. I remember saying like, obviously learning to love Carrie Coon is learning to love myself. Yeah. And that only becomes more true because I loved Carrie Coon down in this episode.
Yeah, T for T is doing that for me, but yeah.
Wait, T for T?
Yeah, trans for trans.
What do you mean?
Just like love.
Like you and your girlfriend?
Yeah, me and my girlfriend, and kind of like my therapist was like, perhaps in loving her, like you'll love yourself.
Oh, that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and we're doing a really strong job. Same way that you are with Carrie Coon.
Same way that I am with Carrie Coon.
Yeah,
it's kind of the same
Carrie Coon
thing.
freaked it today. And as soon as you were like, that's me, which
we'll get there.
I was like, finally, sister, like, good morning.
Good morning.
You fell asleep on the train.
It's
okay, we're almost there.
Don't worry, I won't let you miss your stop. That's our ASMR. That's another one of our vocal stems.
Yeah. Oh, which I'm stimming.
Fuck me.
Fuck me.
That's another one.
Should we start with the party, or how you want to get into this thing?
I think we should start with, I mean, I think the biggest thing this episode was our dear, your boyfriend Goggins.
That's the last thing that man is my boyfriend.
Yeah, I know.
You know who's my boyfriend? Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell's my boyfriend.
Oh my God.
And okay. Have any of these people ever run a scam before, by the way?
I actually thought they were doing so much better. Wait, okay. You know what?
Yeah.
Sorry, before we dive into scene by scene, I just want to talk about an overall impression that this episode really, really like stuck with me. So we got this comment on one of our TikToks that was talking about the Taylor Swift Easter eggification of premiere television, and everybody on TikTok watching White Lotus for these hints and clues and Easter eggs for some big conspiracy. And it's a question we've been asking about the show, is this question of how much do all of these characters know who's playing a game and who's being honest. And this episode really kind of hit home for me, this idea that actually everyone is being as much to their own capability pretty much at face value, and things are simpler than they look. Like, I'm like, Frank,
really?
Sam Rockwell, that's an alcoholic, okay?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, Shri Tala, that's a vain woman who was an actress, right? I saw theories that were like, oh, she was maybe never even in any movies and it's all a trap. And I'm like, no, it's actually not. She's being pretty true to who she is. Mook, there's all these things. Is she working with the bodyguards? Is she distracting guy talk on purpose? We've even fallen into that trap. And this episode made me feel like, no, I think she's a woman looking for a strong man, looking for someone to date. I also think like... a lot of these characters, like Gary Gregg, when we found out in this episode that he's got this sexual fantasy about catching his girlfriend cheating, like, I'm like, some people, it might be that fucking simple. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not all of these people are playing a big complicated game, or the idea that Victoria has been knowing about Timothy's things and hiding the money. I'm like, I don't think any of that's true. Like, the way she...
Like, we're wearing our truth on our sleeve this season a little bit more than perhaps we were in Sicily or in Hawaii.
Or maybe we were the whole time, because that's kind of what Mike White does, is he creates these characters and he allows us, like, he's kind of... Another reason Mike White is God is because...
Standing invitation to come on the podcast.
Standing invitation to come
now
on the
more
pod.
than ever.
He, like, creates these characters and we... project all of these narratives and these ideas onto them, but all he did was kind of create these characters and put them in a space for us. There's not necessarily, like, we are the ones constantly kind of projecting narratives onto these people and what's going to happen and whatever. And I'm like, maybe some of these things aren't going to connect so much as we thought they would, in terms of the bodyguards and was Gary Gregg going to go after Timothy's money? And is Leslie Bibb know what's going on with Timothy because she's from Texas and that's has something to do with North Carolina? Like, there's just so many theories out there. And I'm like, maybe it's none of it. Maybe these are a lot of really interesting people that we all get to have all these feelings about.
Yeah.
And it's not all going to come together in some bow tied kind of way, that people are being a little more face value.
I'll take that, and I don't feel so bad about falling into a trap, because I think that engaging with and projecting is the brilliance of
and I don't feel bad about it. I think it's beautiful.
And it's what we do, right? It's why somebody might create these characters. I love to try out a theory. I love to talk through these things. On the conversation of Mystery to Law, for example, we've kind of been like, oh, she absolutely knows more than she is letting on. And that's also a little bit like, well, you start to flatter, which... Frank and what is Walton Goggins' name? Rick my suck is like...
Rick what?
Rick my suck.
Yeah. What's Rick my suck?
Just a new stim I'm trying.
Rick my suck, folks.
Is like...
everybody's saying Rick my suck.
She just seems like, like the second you get to... Like, maybe she's not so like... on this, because why are you letting these random people in your house? But on whether or not things tie together, one of the things that Jane was talking about with me yesterday was the idea of perhaps the narrative function that the robbery served at the beginning was just to knock guy talk out, which we see this episode. It is a little bit deeper, actually. Things are connecting a little bit, so I think that there is...
Well, they're connecting as far as Valentine has something to do with it, but also, again, is it a giant conspiracy that involves Luke and other people, or is it Valentine and his friend would love for someone to cash app them $10,000, and they're not being so...
It's scammers all the way down.
Yeah, but they're not, maybe no one's so good at scamming in a general sense, just like you were about to say about, like, Goggins and Frank. Are they so good at this scheme?
Oh, God. Well, and to that point, right, like, we all have to... A scam it takes two to scam. Like you gotta the scammer and the scammy. The scammy's there for it. You know what I mean?
That's what did the monk say in this episode. Violence is spiritual harm to both the victim and the perpetrator.
As a scam. Scam is violence. Psychological violence.
Scam is psychological violence.
We've been victim of scam.
We've been victim of scam.
I've also scammed shit.
You have?
Yeah.
Who you scam?
Well, I think that there is, in my experience, for me, as is the only perspective from which I can speak, sex work. That was some scam. That was some scammy type behavior that I was on.
The only time I've ever tried to scam, I failed miserably. Well, not miserably. I just
you manipulate.
Yeah, I know, but then it never works out. Like, remember, there's been a couple guys who've offered to pay my rent, and then when it comes time to pay up, they never do.
Yeah, but like I think that producing, as we see from Frank and Rick.
Oh, I am a reality TV producer, and that in many ways is a scam because it's like, yeah, I mean, that's actually not wrong.
I can see you.
Yeah, I do produce.
There's cameras here.
There's
you know this, yeah.
yeah. Other people can see. That's something I learn every day.
But the thing on that is like, not only do things all have to come together, but you and I, or at least, no, I think we share this, but I'm always so obsessed with the tightest edit. That's one of the things we've had about this show the entire time, where this episode 2 felt like, could it have been tighter, and could we have maybe Jane was saying, she's like, I kind of like when something just happens. A lot of life is stuff just happening without a connection to a bunch of other big ass plots, and not everything needs to connect all the time. So in terms of my own expectations of what I map onto the things I'm watching, but also the things I'm creating, I'm really interested to be a little bit looser on that and be like, actually, sometimes it's okay to have something that doesn't necessarily tie in, connect, etc.
Right.
And in fact, that's one of the things that you and I also both enjoy about the show is like, let your actors take time.
Yeah.
Let's let some things linger, because pausing and air and time are actually can be to their own effect. So
I'm getting so distracted by your beautiful nails and shiny sparkly rings.
I know, isn't
like,
that good?
They're so shiny.
Like a ba-da-ba-da-ba.
We love Moana, folks.
We love Moana. Wait, I love the idea of
If you didn't know that song, you don't know Moana, folks.
No, it's like when they're like, Trent has executive time, it's him watching Moana.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do an episode on Moana too when we finally see that.
Oh, for sure. And that's something I'm always balancing, the nails and the rings at stand-up.
Right now,
is like, yeah, people
beautiful.
are like, I couldn't pay attention. And I'm like, well, that's no good.
Yeah, I'm looking at your hands, but I'm going to stop now. Now that I've said it out loud, hopefully that helps me.
I'm going to need you as well to really keep that mic parked in front of your mouth.
Oh, I know. You hate when I put the mic not in front of my mouth.
We all hate it, folks.
Everyone wants to hear me, folks.
So we're... Okay. Not only is there this kind of flattery that we're doing to scam Shri Tala, Rick takes Kun Jim, okay,
yeah,
frail as fuck, running around with his cane, which just appears to be like to tip tap, like he's not using that for support. But Rick is like doing the Bachelor thing of like, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah, can I steal you for a second?
Yeah, can I steal you for a second? And you and I have been playing this whole season, like, what are you looking for from this man? How do you think that interaction went? Between Kun Jim and Rick, yeah.
Kun Jim and Rick pissed me the fuck off, because Rick, we've been wondering, what do you mean you want to avenge your father? And like, what exactly do you hope to get out of this? And like, how is, killing this guy going to help you in any way at all? Like, get back your life? It's not. And so it was so bizarre to see him sputter in front of him and try to get this narrative out about, and what do we get? We learned about his mother's name is Gloria Hatchett, that when he was 10 years old, his mother was dying and told him that Jim Hollinger was responsible for killing his father over this land deal, right? So now he's spent his life kind of waiting for this moment to meet Jim Hollinger. And you had Jim Hollinger immediately is like, Gloria Hatchett, like he's trying to place it. And then he's like, wait. And it looked like he had more to say, like he was about to say something about her or
I'm
anything.
Curious.
I was super fucking curious. And you know who wasn't? Rick. I'm like, you don't even want answers? You just want to push him?
Right.
You don't want to kill him? You don't want to kill yourself in front of him. Both two things we thought could have happened.
I really thought when he was like, "You're gonna," because he goes, "You sure as hell are gonna remember me," and I was like, "You're gonna shoot your face off."
You went. He better not point that gun on himself.
Well, I mean, at this point, it's also like, we're all here. You got the gun.
Well, and we were
might
scared
as well
because
shoot
that episode
somebody.
was titled Killer Instincts, and we were like, is someone gonna die this episode? Even though usually we save the death for the finale, but no one died.
Interesting. Like if that's again as the framing title can be helpful for framing. In poetry especially, is if Rick has killer instinct.
Well, obviously he didn't, not of this guy, and that he had, and so much happened there because we had and then we have Frank appealing to Sri Tala's vanity, which I actually don't think he was as bad of a scammer as you think. I think he was pretty good, but obviously the most interesting thing with Frank is, let's not let Frank get back on the bottle.
No, and
when
Frank,
he ordered that whiskey, I was like.
He goes, probably one couldn't hurt. I'm thinking it's going to hurt, baby.
Famous last words. Oh, my God.
Well, it's never just one.
It's never just one. And I know
one hurts because it's the first.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I just was like, to watch him fall off the wagon like that was so... just so it's all so simple, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like I'm like, that's who he told us who he is, you know?
Sometimes he's been trying is just a cigar.
Yeah, and that guy, sometimes an alcoholic is just an alcoholic, and a drug, and a guy who likes to party is a guy who likes to party. And like, you know, what does Victoria say later in the episode? Maybe Jesus can save her from these Buddhists. And I'm like, maybe Jesus or Buddha both can't save you. Maybe just get a whiskey and let's start doing some coke and meth or crack or whatever we smoke.
Chat. What was in the pipe?
We're between crack and meth, obviously.
And I'm a little bit like, from my own experience in the LGBTQ community, that I wonder if we don't know the kind of like what is hot in the scene in Bangkok. Sure. Although I wonder I wonder what hanging out with the hookers and ladyboys. I'm like, that feels like that could be meth.
Yeah, I knew you were thinking it was meth.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
shit.
One thing I really liked too in the interaction between this group of four at Sri Tala's mansion is when they're first there and they're ordering those drinks, Mike White continues to just play a really it's just sophisticated fucking storytelling and visual storytelling. We don't see the staff. We don't see the person they're ordering with upon that first order. Like, you don't know anyone's there. I'm like, Sri Tala's not about to pour them a drink. And then she looks off camera and repeats the drink order. And we never see that person till later when fucking Sam Rockwell's Frank is hitting on her. It's like, hey, you look pretty good. It's like, somebody come get their daddy.
Frank was cracking my shit up. I did. Like, I was like, and it was just another, once they started kind of really partying, I was like, shit.
You got the bug?
I got the bug. It made me want to go outside again.
We can't be letting that happen.
I know I've been really good.
You were good this week.
I know. I'm better.
Okay. What do you think about the when they all go afterward, when they run away after Kun Jim and Sri Tala's house, and
I'm in a getaway car. Left you at the motel bar. Put the money in the bag, and I stole the keys.
That was the last time you ever saw me. Ah! Is at the hotel room when they're drinking, doing blow.
Yeah.
And then
he said that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
He goes, what about your party? He goes, well, obviously that ship sailed. Let's go out. And I'm like,
let's go.
It's Bangkok. Let's go.
He's like, one night only. And I'm like, oh, brother.
Yikes.
It's the first. The last.
Always the first.
As we're playing this to the piece that Miss Amy Lou Teeth Wood says as Chelsea at the party later, she's talking about how her and Frank are
yin and yang,
which, rewind the tape, you mentioned on episode 1 of this podcast.
I know.
And she
rewind the tape. I
it
clocked that yin and yang in their perfect kind of balance.
And she was like, it's Rick is pain, and I'm, what'd she say, healing or hope?
Hope.
Beautiful.
And but that healing him is her purpose. She said healing, but she said that, yeah, if they're the yin and yang, he's pain and she's hope.
And she's like, one of us
will win.
Is that what yin and yang is, or is the idea that they're in balance and they need each other anyway? Chat. I also wonder how much, are we getting enough spirituality, not enough?
I think it's really interesting, right? Because Amy Lou Wood in this episode, right, if she's she's been that super sure this whole time that her and Rick are soulmates. And I have this whole time, again, rewind the tape, been pretty aware of this. Like, they are this really beautiful balance of masculinity and femininity. Totally this sadness, hope, this darkness, this light, this yin yang. Like, they really have been embodying that the whole time. And it seems to be why they work so well together. And ultimately, we've now seen in both of them loyalty. Because what we didn't see was we didn't see Rick doing anything with those women they were partying with the way that Sam Rockwell probably definitely is going to. It didn't seem like Rick was about to do a bunch of drugs and cheat. He's not answering his phone. But I mean, Amy Lou Wood also did that last night, but when they were on the boat party. Yeah. But she also didn't cheat. She was faithful. She was a faithful. And it seems like these people, this couple, do love each other. I mean, I definitely feel like I'm getting that. I do have concerns. Obviously, Rick's pain is causing a lot of recklessness in terms of, okay, you just pushed Jim Hollinger at Sri Tala's house, and Sri Tala, well, Amy Lou Wood is staying in a room in your name at Sri Tala's hotel, so if they want to get your ass back, they could probably
a couple phone calls.
Maybe you should give her a call back and maybe let her know to kind of leave that hotel kind of maybe instantly, because like if they want to get your ass, they got a key to her room. So
got a key to her room.
Let's protect our girl.
And
so we can
Mook is pushing Guy Talk to become Killer Instinct.
I know.
Like, Guy Talk, you want to cut your teeth? Go fuck up Amy Lou Wood real quick.
I know, and it was really, I did love in this episode this kind of, obviously the overall theme of the episode was violence, and there's this intercutting between the Muay Thai and then also with Goggins and Kun Jim, which was really cool because it was this, right? I feel like Muay Thai, I don't know too much about it, but the way it was shot reminded me of like wrestling or like UFC or these kind of like fighting, things that we have in America, and that those are very similar. They're choreographed, from what I understand. I'm not huge in this culture, but from what I understand, those are kind of choreographed. They're dances in a way, right? And they are expressions of power, and I think it's not that the winners are chosen necessarily, but there's a way that you fight with each other that is very kind of, everyone has a goal to win, but you're going about it with different strategies. You may or may not be familiar with the other person's strategies, and it's this dance. And we were intercutting between those two doing that while we were also having these monologues from the monk talking about the role of violence in humanity and how, and then we also have Guy Talk observing this and becoming... He actually started to really self-actualize in this episode, I think, by starting to recognize, he said, I learned about myself through this robbery experience that I actually don't want to cause violence. And in Buddhism, that's the right thing to do. Violence is inherently the wrong thing. And then Mook's trying to be like, well, what about in self-defense? And also, what if it helps you get a better job? And also, really, she just seems pretty genuinely let down that she said... I thought you were more ambitious than that and that you wanted a better job. And so it just felt like this moment of just kind of two people really finding out that maybe they're not such a good fit. And it doesn't actually mean that Guy Talk is so weak, because it's cool to have strong morals and to say, no, I'm choosing not to do violence. Like we were reading him as so weak before because it didn't feel like a choice. I feel like he was just failing to do the violence, but to choose not to do it's different.
Well, and the weakness was that he was up against, and what you said, right, is what he learned through this experience, but he was facing up against a role that didn't that didn't align with his values. That's what the weakness was. That's what the trepidation, what we were sensing is that no, Gaitaka is not up to the, we've been talking about it, like a word I kept using was impotence.
Yeah.
Like really talking about masculinity, right? The definition that Mook was trying to put on him, that the security guard that I was trying to put on him, it's like, yeah, he was failing at that because he couldn't keep that up. And it's
or
like,
maybe because he rejects it.
Right, because he couldn't, but he rejects it, therefore he couldn't keep it up. But when we take the framing and set the scale or the criteria of like strengthen your values and valuing life and not wanting to do violence, then he looked strong as fuck this episode.
Yeah.
And I also just caution Miss Lisa Blackpink's Mook, as I do and would with all women and people of who may lean a little bit more femme or feminine.
Yeah.
When you are looking for the masculine guy who kills, who is angry, who is violent, guess what? That person, when you got him, is going to be somebody who is angry, violent, kills. And that's actually scary.
I say this all the time.
Say it. Tell him.
No, it's that. It's just that. It's just like, if you want a strong masculine man, and that's what you're looking for, and then you find it, and he yells at you.
Yep.
What were we surprised about? At least. At least. Like, I'm like a violent man, or like a stereotypically strong man, right?
Yes.
And how strong is violence? Is Guy Talk making the stronger choice by choosing to be a true Buddhist and have a moral judgment on causing violence? Is that strong? Is that more strength than someone willing to shoot a fucking gun? You know what I mean? Like, it's like, what is strength?
And he can shoot a gun. And he can shoot a gun.
And he did a good fucking job. He just doesn't have the killer's instinct, but he just doesn't want to, and that's cool, right? So good moves for Guy Talk this episode for sure. And also,
I'll comment briefly on, you mentioned the intercutting with the Mai Tai with different pieces, and then the intercutting with the monk's speech is, I thought it was very successful, the intercutting with the Mai Tai. Again, when we talk about sophisticated filmmaking, like, I love that we didn't, in earlier episodes, we knew we were going to go to this fight. But when we were first seeing those intercuts, we don't know who's there. We don't know which of our characters are actually watching it. They're not there yet. And that's fucking cool to be able to use in the way that in other episodes, Mike White has used water, has used sky. It's just or in other parts of this season, has used monkey, nature.
Well, and that's interesting because that's what Mook said, is it not?
Yeah.
That violence is nature.
Is natural.
It's natural.
But it's just really brilliant and successful and
beautiful.
To be buzzy about it, it's a master class in some abstract filmmaking or some surreal
cinematic storytelling. Because and also to equate the violence with nature. You're right. Those are the exact same moments he would have used shots of water and animals in previous episodes to show humans fighting, and especially not only just fighting and doing violence, but doing it in this performative way, in a costume, in a lighting, in a whole putting on the play of it all. I mean, it's really cool.
And then the echoes with Sam Rockwell's Frank telling the story of like, it's got everything. It's action, got everything. Violence, betrayal.
And again, the God thing, just the overwhelming, is everyone just playing their roles. You know what I mean? In the show, like, and where I would say they're wearing their hearts on their sleeves. Like, I think a lot of these people are, to the best of their own ability, being incredibly true about their intentions. And
then with the nature and violence, there's an implication later of the gun going off. I think maybe Timothy's shooting somebody, and then it cuts to water splashing, which is not just, again, that nature and violence and creative filmmaking, but also is a conversation that we were talking about last week with water and return to water and drops. Like,
absolutely.
If there's anything that all is going to tie together, it's going to be fucking the filmmaking of this fucking show.
Absolutely.
Mike White has stepped it up. Where do you want to take us next,
okay,
pretty girl?
I want to talk about Gary Gregg's party.
Gary Gregg's party, which had no fucking drugs, no music.
No music at the function. Okay, so Gary's having a party and it sucks. But everyone looks great. Chloe showed up in a cute ass outfit. Amy Lou Wood showed up in a cute ass outfit. Saxon looked the best we've seen him look so far. I'm he looks like he got a tan and a good night's sleep.
You called him rejuvenated.
Literally, I was like, wow, he looks well today.
No, like,
I mean, and I guess because last episode we saw him quite hungover, but today he looked really good. And also, I think it shows the choice to have him look so well this day. Like, his skin was fresh and prepped, and he looked nice. He looked, maybe he had a spray tan. Like, he looked good.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe it's because, and he also started asking Amy Lou Wood about, he denied Chloe in engaging in that fantasy, and he started asking Amy Lou Wood about spirituality, and he said very plainly, I'm not who you think I am. I can be somebody else. And she said, why don't you? And I feel like maybe for the first time, if he is having this experience with his brother and his shame about it, and also this interaction he has with his dad, which I know we'll get into in a second, but
dynamics.
That, like, this might have been, he looked wide awake, and I'm like, it's because I think all this week might have been a big wake-up call for Saxon, and he really maybe does have potential to change who he is, because when he looked around that party, and he said, all those old men, all these women are just there for the money. And Amy Lou Wood said, well, baby, that's going to be you in 30 years. And he's kind of looking around going, oh, shit. And for the first time, like, is that who I'm becoming? And then that makes sense. Then he goes and has this conversation with his father. Yep. And he's like, my whole thing is wrapped up in you. If this is going wrong, I need you to tell me. And he doesn't tell him. But I feel like Saxon starting to just realize on his own, like, oh, if I keep going down this path, I totally am going to become who Amy Lou Wood thinks I am. And I don't know if I want to be that. And so I'm proud of Saxon for starting to take some steps to be the person he wants to be. Because it is like, you don't have to wrap your whole life up in your father's.
No, because he's like, Dad, my career's wrapped up in you. My success is wrapped up in you. I'm wrapped up in this. And yeah, to your point, then to be like, wait, what would I be like otherwise? Because as much as that's Saxon, like, throwing his shit on Timothy raised him like that. It's also interesting, too, when you talk about, like, not wanting to be in not loveless relationship, but a relationship that is based on economic exchange. We see Victoria at this party asking a similar question or having a similar assumption as Saxon of like, you're only with these people because they're rich as fuck, right? And a couple of them are like, no, which is like when you talk about projecting, seems like there's some fucking projecting going on.
Totally, because Victoria and Saxon absolutely both were the two people at the party who see all those relationships as relationships where people are using each other, right?
Yes, as transactional.
And both Amy Lou Wood, and I don't remember her name, but I remember her husband's name's Rupert, because she goes, I love Rupert.
Yes.
I genuinely love Rupert. And
got my ass.
And and Victoria
I
goes,
everybody an apology from the boat. Yeah.
Are you scared of him? I can help you.
I can get you out of here. I can
get you out of here. It's like, okay, one, no, you can't. Again, theory to bed. Victoria does not know.
No, she doesn't know shit about shit.
She doesn't know shit about shit.
She doesn't know, she's not an ambassador.
No.
What are you going to do to this girl?
Oh, my God. Yeah, what are you going to do? How are you going to help this girl? You don't even know that the FBI is probably at your house.
Yeah, help yourself.
Help yourself.
I can get you to North Carolina to meet a respectable man. What does that mean?
But what is respectable man, right? Because it's like your man?
Right.
You don't even know. Or your son?
An old-ass white dude in North Carolina, like who's also Rupert's age? I don't really get your son.
Or Saxon? You know what I mean? Like, it's like...
Please.
Yeah, so they definitely are the ones really showing their ass kind of at this party, and they're like how fucked up their kind of internal family belief systems are.
Yep.
Yeah, and we also, of course, see, I mean... Timothy in this episode, when he gets pulled away by Saxon, and Saxon is trying to get him to be like, just tell me what's going on, and he says, what?
Can I steal you for a second?
Yeah, that happened a couple times. So I was like, can I steal you for a second, Dad? And then he's like, but Timothy, this one was really another intense one for me, because it was that it's all good kid. It reminded me, dark story time, folks, trigger warning. But it reminded me of
CW, Our Own Lives.
Yeah, literally, like, again, trigger warning for Aaron McKeon and those who also are affected by the same circumstances and people. But it reminded me of a story whenever my father, who also shot himself and there were some financial misdoings, was his best friend had told us that she was very surprised as we all were, right, when this happened, but she was like, he always would tell me when he had a problem, and she'd hung out with him like the night before, and she was like, she's like, I've been going over it in my head, and I realized he didn't tell me because he didn't have a problem anymore. He'd found the solution.
Oh my God.
And this episode had me feeling like that's where Timothy is, and I really kind of applaud Mike White for like doing this really nuanced telling of this experience, because I think you just empathize with Timothy in a way that I think is profound for me, in a way that I'm like, yeah, let's talk about these stories, because again, like as we talk about, you know, this whole narrative and suicide being so stigmatized and like having it be so related to my personal experience, I like that people are able to empathize with Timothy. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, yeah, let's talk about that. But I think his kind of it's all good kid, right? Like, and you
were like, it's relief.
Yes, it's relief on his face because he's found the solution, right? However, of course, in poor Timothy's case, no, he didn't. He doesn't even know he doesn't have the gun anymore.
Fuck.
So that's fucked. But thank God, I will say, hey, let's give a moment for guy talk. Good job actually bodyguarding the White Lotus for once. If you hadn't gotten that gun back, we would have lost Victoria, Saxon, and Timothy all in one go. So
Pop, family annihilation.
Yeah, thank God you got the gun back.
Yeah.
I know it's his fault that they got the gun in the first place, but still, at least it's gone now.
I was just going to say that I'm really curious about the family annihilation of it all, and like each one getting roped in, and these, you know, fantasies that Timothy keeps having. Shout out Victoria, who seems to be doing fabulous despite seemingly
awesome.
Allegedly being in withdrawal from benzodiazepines.
She's handling her withdrawal.
No, perfectly. She's sunny side up.
Yeah.
I wonder, as we're talking about like author and audience here, I keep being like, standing invitation, Mike White. I want to know and hear from Mike White about these different dynamics, but the risk of that is that it's not as deep as the things that we bring to it and get from it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's what we've said about stuff from the very beginning, right? Like I think a lot of why we like to watch things together and can relate on how we relate to art is because we're like everyone else. We want to see ourselves, right? We want to see parts of ourselves and our experiences on screen. And he's just given so many dynamic and interesting characters and storylines that we get to see so much of ourselves and our own experiences reflected in the experiences of these incredibly wealthy people in places we've never fucking been. And, you know, it's really remarkable. Last thing for me, at least, on Timothy's kind of imaginations of, am I going to take Victoria, last episode he said, okay, what would happen if I did it to myself? And then he imagined doing it in his hotel room and Piper and Victoria finding him. Then he imagined, okay, what if I just did me and Victoria? And then he imagined, what if I did Victoria, Saxon, and myself while Piper and Lachlan are at the meditation center? And I'm like, again, I just want to urge Timothy. I'm like, there's one more imagination where let's still go. If you're still going with your plan where you don't want to be here anymore. Okay.
Go off.
I'm not trying to stop you.
Right.
Unless, okay. Two options you can. Because I am like, go ahead. Let's imagine federal prison. Yep. Just see, could we do it? Right. If Piper can survive the dripping drain in the meditation center, maybe you can do the same, have that same monk-like experience in federal prison.
He seems to be curious about it.
He seems to be curious about it. I'm like, it could be you could find your Buddhism in prison. So maybe let's imagine your life in prison. But also I think another way is we could imagine if you do want to end your life. I just think for Timothy, let's think about ways to think about who else might find you instead of your family. What if you didn't do it in your hotel room? Maybe you don't even do it in Thailand. Maybe we can get home, or maybe you can go somewhere else. But it's kind of like, you know, when a cat knows that it's dying and it runs away.
So beautiful.
Like, I'm like, what if we went away, Timothy? Let's stop roping the family in terms of finding your body or taking them with you. Like, what if you're going to do that, why don't you go far away?
Yeah, and then let everyone else make their own decisions, because you making decisions for other people has so far not been in their best interest.
Right, so you're not very good at that for other people. Well, there's 2 more guests at Gary Gregg's party.
That's where I want to go too.
Zion and Belinda. Zion, what the hell?
Showing up being all sorts of different. I love that something though? He is bringing a different perspective to this show, to this like world, than anything else we're seeing.
That's absolutely true. It's very interesting because he's very naive to me.
Yep.
I think he was like, it wasn't the wrong impulse to be like, Gary Gregg's not gonna kill you at the party.
Right.
It's probably safe to go, and we'll see what he has to say. Which I'm kind of like, I think you know what he has to say. He's gonna offer you hush money. But Zion is obviously though interested in that, and Zion wants the hush money. But here's what I want to say.
Motivated by money differently, because when he's coming to it from a different class than as is Belinda than anybody else at this fucking resort, right? Like money is a legitimate motivator. When at this party we see Gary Gregg offer Belinda $100,000, and we're sitting here being like, that's fucking nothing for your fucking friend.
Yeah.
He's like, seems to be like, that's good money. Like, you should take that. Also so cute, him being like, you could not work for a year. I'm like, I'm going to need more than that if you killed my fucking friend. Also, yeah. Tanya, again, like, talking about this Mike White's thesis of colonization. Like, Tanya has so fucked Belinda's fucking life by her involvement in this. But, again, like, this class motivation that Zion has, in addition to his just general naivete, adds a nice.
Well, and also, I mean, his naivete comes out too in the we were all joking while we were watching it about. He was like, Gary can't hurt you because I'm here, and it's like, baby, you already told us at the top of this episode, you're not even getting pussy.
No, like, you don't have bitches. What are you going to protect your mom from?
He said, I feel like everyone's getting some but me, and I'm like, so how are you gonna?
Yeah, what are you
check that?
So why don't you like? What are you gonna protect her from?
Watch this space.
Not getting fucked.
Right. Like, I just don't understand. Like, it's like, where do you think you're doing that? I'm like, what? Because you go to the gym?
Oh, and then also too when
Maybe
she
I go to the gym. I can't protect Belinda for shit. I didn't even believe her when she told me that story.
No, I'd be like,
I'm Fabian as hell. I'm like, I gotta go sing.
Well, why does fucking Belinda believe her son?
I gotta go sing a song.
No, like, I'm singing.
I'm singing tonight. Like, I don't really want to hear this problem. I'm singing tonight, so.
Yeah, but sorry, but I didn't mean to take us all the way. But what more between that relationship between Zion and Belinda?
Nothing, but I do have something to say to Belinda, which is, so this is advice I've given before. I actually give this advice this week, which is, folks, know your number. Okay, there's a lot of situations where you need to know your number, because you could have known, Belinda, you could have known that Gary Gregg was going to offer you an amount of money. And I think before you go into situations like that, you should know what the number is. Because, so for example, I have a friend who had come to me for advice about who is thinking about leaving their job.
Yep.
But my advice was, okay, sure, if you're ready, but what you should do before you have the conversation, because they're in a position where I was like, your boss really likes you and is going to want you to stay. So when you threaten to leave, your boss may offer you more to stay, and if there is a number that would make you willing to stay at this job, all I'm saying is know what that number is. If you're determined to leave, but know your number. And there's a lot of situations that applies to, because you know who knew his number in this episode? Valentine's friend Alexi. Okay, he said $10,000, Zelle, Cash App, wire it, however you want to get it to me. I need $10,000. And I'm like, so that's someone who knows their number. But it's like, you got to know what you're asking for. And I think Belinda, to me, $100,000, agreed with you, not enough. I think there is a number that can satisfy doing something so wrong in terms of, especially, which it seems like Belinda's schema is that definitely it's the wrong choice to
she's
accept
another
hush
person
money.
With morals.
She's got strong morals, and so she wouldn't want to do that, even though Zion would. But again, I'm just saying, if there's a number, know what it is before we go into these conversations. Okay, negotiations are usually only on the table for a short time.
And to that point, knowing your number, consider the outcomes. She's going there scared to death that she's like going to get killed. You have leverage.
And also now you maybe have a by saying you need to sleep on it and that you're going to take time to think about it. I'm like, you are, to me, again, putting yourself in danger because now you freaked Gary Gregg out. He would have,
don't spook him.
Because if you'd accepted the money, you could have even accepted the money, left, and called the police from America and said, hey, I know where Gary Gregg is. Here's his address in Thailand. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, you can lie to him. You have leverage. Like, you could have taken the money, let him think that he won and that you're going to, you know, whatever. But you could have put that money in an account and then gone home and reported it and not you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, it's all, and been like, that's how I thought was the safest way to get out of the situation, right? Like, there's so many ways you could go about
nervous,
it.
Yeah, because the
but
justice
it makes me
system
nervous.
Is not going to deal with her well.
For sure, but also just to, like, the way she dealt with it, I'm now scared even more so for her safety because I'm like, now you've left. Now you've left Gary on edge, and that's not a place you want a guy like Gary Gregg.
No.
So I'm scared for Belinda. I think Zion is not being so helpful. And where was Porn Chai?
Where's Porn Chai? Where's New Daddy?
Missed you, New Daddy. We hope I get to see you next week.
No, I'm like, that's somebody that we should listen to that might actually be
I'd like to know what Porn Chai thinks about this. Can we get him in conversation with Zion? Let's bring everybody to the table.
No, I don't want Zion being the voice of... I
just want someone to talk some sense to him. I think Porn Chai could be the voice of reason here.
God,
I like his perspective.
Also, Natasha Rothwell, like, she knows, like, Belinda knows what the right thing to do is, so let's not be looking outside of ourselves.
That's also true. Belinda maybe doesn't need a man to tell her the answer. She
go
knows.
Talk to Porn Chai. That's not going to hurt.
For sure.
Might feel good. You might get a nut off.
She obviously values her son's perspective a lot in a way that I'm like, let's also maybe, if we're consulting others, which I respect, I love to consult people and then make my own decision. I like to consult multiple different trusted sources who I know are going to bring me
even some untrusted ones.
Even some untrusted ones. And but I like, it's about variety. Okay. Yep. It's about a variety of different inputs from different kinds of people. Then I can make a decision based on that. Belinda, I'm like, let's not have the only person you're talking to about this be Zion.
Be like, what, a 17, 18, 19-year-old?
Yeah.
Who, by the way, doesn't fuck.
Correct.
I will, as we close this out, this portion out, it seemed like the most morally aligned people in this story, especially this episode, are Guy Talk, like we touched on, and Belinda.
Mm-hmm.
And that does make me wonder. I mean, there are some other strong spirituality, but the idea of, given that they are the staff class in our world, this world, is it the phrase slave morality is coming to mind.
I'm not familiar.
Which is, again, I don't know the original source, but Miss Points was referencing it in a video of, like, blessed are the meek. Like, that's slave morality, right?
Okay,
like,
sure.
Who don't have aligning their spirituality and their morals with the thing that coincidentally keeps them at in that lower class.
Well, when you're not willing to hurt other people, you're going to remain the crab at the bottom of the bucket if you're not willing to step on some other crabs.
Right, but previously, like...
and that's what Mook's saying.
Right. Well, I mean, Miss Mook. Who went on an awesome date to the fight?
Yeah, and who else was at the fight? Guy Talk finally clocking something. Again, Guy Talk showed up to work today because Guy Talk looked at Valentina and his friends and said, oh, fuck, now I know exactly what the fuck went down.
Yeah.
And we get to learn a lot about what we always expected about Valentine and his Russian friends and their vague associations with shipping and the fact that they want to party with these women, right? Like, not super surprising that Alexei is asking Carrie Coon for cash after they fuck, and also just kind of revealing who these guys are, but who again are, I'm like, not criminal masterminds involved in a really overarching conspiracy. It's three guys who want some money, so they orchestrated a robbery of a place where one of the guys works, and they're going to try to extort money from who they believe to be a vulnerable middle-aged woman, right? Like, it's like, they're pretty fucking simple. These are not people orchestrating huge conspiracies. They're pretty straightforward type A robbery, scheming, asking, begging. Like, they just want some money.
Right. And Guy Talk is kind of at the Mai Tai fight looking down at Alexei,
Vlad and Valentin.
Yeah. And it is like putting all the images and the faces together, and the moment of Valentine kind of distracting him
by inviting him to this very fight.
Yeah. Which again, stupid.
Yep.
I will give Alexi and others a little bit of free advice real quick though, is always get the money first. Asking at Pillow Talk for $10K, she's already come. She's
right,
not giving
she's
you
got
money.
post, not clarity.
Yeah, you want $10,000. You ask for that when that person's still brimming and horny.
Absolutely.
I mean, my God. But then having when she runs out of there afterward because the girlfriend comes in.
Yeah.
Like again, now we're just flashing for a second at the pillow talk between Lori and Alexi, which. Carrie Coon, you're looking great, girl. My God.
Moment for Carrie Coon's body. Oh my God. That absolutely, Valentine nailed it early on. Body of a much younger woman. Fabulous. You look good, girlfriend. And also, I mean.
But all the jewelry just being in the like closet area.
Oh, from the
leaving.
Hotel, yeah.
Did she...
She wasn't involved in the robbery.
Yeah,
I think she just saw all the jewelry and clocked. I think it's just one of those moments where sometimes the post-nut clarity where you look around and you go, oh, this is where I am right now.
And she does the thing that I think that we both encourage all the time. Like she starts to climb out that window. Y'all, get out of the window.
Right.
Leave. Get out of there.
Go.
Like you are much safer to be trying to escape than to be stuck in that fucking situation.
Absolutely. And she got out the window in just the nick of time, barely got her head little slapped by Nadia or whatever. And but
as is Nadia's right.
But she also, so during that pillow talk, she was, it's funny because she was for a moment, she tells him like, he goes, it's my dream to come to New York. And he says, she's like, oh, it'd be so fun. She's like, show you around New York. And I think she for a moment does believe that. And then again, she becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy predicted by Jacqueline. When he starts asking her for money, she notices the robbery, girlfriend's here. And now she's yet again, what is she? Disappointed.
Picking a short straw,
right? It's like, oh, you thought you were going to show that man around New York? Because it's a different thing. Whereas Jacqueline, for example, right, is like, you had the opportunity to hook up with Valentine. You didn't want to. I did. Like, Jacqueline knows at least what she's doing. Carrie Coon does have, I see how the girls are seeing this pattern in her of drawing the short stick.
Yeah.
Where she's like, it's like, oh.
That's not even the leader of the group.
Because she thought for a second, you're going to show him around New York. Do you know what I mean? Like, she does let herself for a second believe something that's like, oh, well, girl, it's okay to just fuck that random Russian guy for sure.
Yes, but that's what it is.
But that's what it is. So like the fact that she's willing to play these games in her own brain for a second and kind of indulge in a delusion is kind of like, oh, well, baby. But she got out and that's good. But let's talk about Jacqueline.
Breakfast.
Jacqueline, Kate, and Carrie Coon.
I mean,
these three.
Did they start at breakfast? Like, where did we start with them? I can't remember because fuck.
We had a hard day, these three. But three is a crowd today.
I mean, it's the coming to light. I'm glad that and you talk about the intercutting with the Mai Tai, like, we're ready for fucking
fighting.
Action. And we start with this meal of, those three, Carrie Coons, Lori, Leslie Bibbs, Kate, and then Michelle Monaghan's.
Yeah, Michelle Monaghan's Jacqueline. I've never felt, again, learning to love Carrie Coon and learning to see myself because everybody who told me this character who clocked episode 1, I did not see it yet. It took me till penultimate episode to see that I said, I have actually never seen. It was like having a vision of the future of me and my current girlfriends repeating our same dynamics 20 years from now and having that conversation and then going, nothing's changed. And then me absolutely being Carrie Coon and going, okay, if that's what you think about me, I think you're vain and selfish, always have been. You are pretending your life is fucking perfect, always have been.
Yep.
And I'm going to the fucking fight. Fuck y'all. I'm out. Like, I'm like, and I'm going to have a good time tonight. And no, I'm not disappointed with my life. But everybody kind of yelling at her like, you always get the short end of the stick and you act like a victim about it. One constant with you is you're always disappointed. It's like, these are some harsh words. And I side with Carrie Coon so much when she's like, how does it end up? Jacqueline is the one. You did something fucked up last night. And now everybody's coming at me.
And I'm the problem?
I'm the problem. You are the one who did something fucked up. And in fact, this always happens. And you've done fucked up shit before. What about Dave?
Bringing in Leslie Bibb's husband to go, yeah, Dave, when you were all over him at my wedding.
And Jacqueline's trying to be like, that was 15 years ago. And she's like, that's exactly my fucking point. Ain't shit changed. And that, ooh.
No, they were perfect together. And there's been a lot of like conversation about the 3 Ratliff children being the 3 wise monkeys. See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil. These 3 are another trio where we are getting different relationships to the idea of like just the C, speak, hear no evil. Like Kate in her little readers, love Kate with the readers on and the menu and the texting. Kind of like we said, talking to Jacqueline, being like, well, you know, like Jacqueline's right. You are being a little bit overreacting.
Yeah.
Jacqueline's being defensive where she's like, you don't know my story. And in fact, like, why are you making a big deal out of this? You had a chance to have sex with Valentine. You didn't. And then, Carrie Coon being like, hold on. The truth teller, the truth speaker, like exactly what you just said.
Well, and Jacqueline's also, she's a classic bully too, right? Because she's willing.
Awesome.
She's willing to. Because she's kind of victim blaming. She's saying, She's saying, I didn't victimize you. You are allowing yourself to feel victimized by me doing what I want.
So funny.
You know, like that's really what she's saying there is like, oh, no. It's your choice to feel this way and react this way to me. Sorry, I make you so insecure, right? Like,
what
but I'm not sorry, right? And she said, and then whenever Kate is kind of like later on after Carrie Coon leaves, and Kate's kind of like, hey, I do think you don't feel bad at all. Okay,
like I haven't heard from her.
Sure, like you're not even worried about her or anything. Like fine. And then Jacqueline's like, I'll be the bad guy. I'm used to it.
Like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean?
Yeah. Is it, oh, you're used to being, well, and it's such a classic kind of, she's like, I'm the hot girl. Everyone always thinks, like I was, and this is definitely their dynamic in high school, right? She's like, I'm hot and popular. Everyone's jealous of me all the time, so I'm always the villain. And it's like, no, you're the villain because
of your behavior.
You're making choices and you're doing behavior that affects other people and you don't care how it affects them. And when it does affect them, you say, it's your own fault that you're being affected.
No, she is. I unfortunately, because she's not, or because we see a lot of her flaws, but Jacqueline, I feel kindred with her. Like her at that table, like the smug look on her face. Michelle Monaghan, you earned your actor name this week because
that face
there and that moment, like when Kate laid at the dinner table and later when Kate's like, are you worried? And she just is so like, it's perfect. Them walking to breakfast, starting the episode, and just the fucking like, I think it's Kate, then Lori kind of like flustered, and then Jacqueline just in power. Like that is the shit you want. And then as she's fucking bullying Carrie Coon to the point of like flight, she's just
smug. But you know what I love about that, and this is what I love about you seeing yourself in Jacqueline and me seeing myself in Lori, is actually so fun because I think there's been a lot of discourse about these 3 and are they really friends or do they really hate each other? And as we've expressed before, that relationships are built on time and shared experience. Something we've discussed, and not on the pod but in our personal lives, that relationships are really built on time and shared experience and seeing each other because you've been through enough to, those flaws and those insults are so pointed because these women actually do know each other. They do see each other. They've seen each other in different phases of life and they see these consistencies. And while they may take issue with each other in some ways, I'm kind of like, but shit, that's what true friendship is. You know what I mean? When I have a friend who tells me something cutting and true, it might be come out in a way that feels like conflict in the moment, but it's usually, it's helpful to be seen, you know, for your flaws and your good qualities, right?
Yeah, because when Jacqueline said to Lori, like, oh, it seems like you always pick the short straw. That's weird. Like, but you chose to work at that company forever. Yep. You chose to marry your ex-husband. Like, isn't that? And we were watching that. I was like, that is the meanest shit I have ever fucking heard.
Right.
And then kind of sitting with it, it's like, but is there a level of truth? And I think that maybe
Well, there
intention
is,
comes to that. Like,
well, because it's mean because of the way that it's coming out.
Yep, and
because there's another way to have that conversation with your friend about like, hey, there's a pattern I notice in your life, that I don't want to see you repeat.
mm-hmm.
There's a way to have that conversation empathetically, which is not how this cat came out of the bag, right? Like this is coming reactive and we're fighting, right? And it's juicy. But I think the sentiment is the same. Like it's just two heads of the same coin, which is that friendship and seeing each other, right? Like
it's
is really knowing a person. Because I mean, they got her. Like when that short end of the stick,
clocked,
incredibly mean, but clocked down. And another, I'm like, oh yeah, if someone said that to me, like, oh,
and
clocked
but
down.
I'm also, again, I'm the bitch that's like, I'm saying that shit, and then I'm like,
you always
why
do.
are they upset? Why are they upset?
And I think that's why I'm able to see friendship in them, because I'm like, that's something I love about you. I like when you say something cutting and true.
Even though, I try.
Even though sometimes it hurts.
Yeah,
and sometimes it makes me want to go to the fight and fuck some random Russian.
Right.
And then they ask me for money, and then I come in trouble. But you know what? Then at the end of the day, I'm gonna come home to our house, and you're still gonna accept me.
And we're gonna fire up the smart TV.
We're gonna fire up the smart TV
stream it out.
and stream it out.
I really hope none of those women die.
I hope no one dies.
That
I hope no one dies.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anybody die. There was, as it seems like we're wrapping up the episode. There's nothing else you want to say?
I feel good.
I do too, because the only thing I want to point out, just as we talk about what's going to happen next week, did you catch the people are talking about
You've got your ear to the ground in a
quick
big way.
theory time? Yeah, I'm watching the theory. I'm seeing all your. I see everything you guys post.
Tag us in them at Stream Queens
at
the
Stream
pod.
Queens, if you want to hear us discuss some theories, because I'm watching them all. I've seen some incredible videos that I won't get into. One of my favorites this week, I'm sure a lot of you saw it. There's a viral video about dissecting what watch everybody's wearing in every episode. Really fabulous. So thank you to that creator. Also, there's the Chloe in the last episode was wearing I can't remember, a baby Simpsons character. The baby is on her necklace.
That's interesting.
Is on her necklace. And I guess, so what happens in that is that I guess there's an episode of The Simpsons where that baby gets a gun and shoots Mr. Burns, who is a bald guy, and it's like an accidental death situation.
A bald billionaire evil,
yes. And so that's where some people are saying that might be a clue for next week, that there might be a situation where Chloe's going to accidentally end up with a gun or maybe accidentally shoot Gary Gregg.
Fuck.
Which I don't know how that could all happen, but I liked that. Was a good clock. So thank you to whichever creators all clocked that little necklace. I never would have known that about The Simpsons.
And I'm actively trying to not know.
And I don't want to know. I don't want to know a lot about it, but that was cool. So anyway,
I do love hearing from the costume designer too.
Yeah.
And again, like, cannot stress enough, like, or the democratization of like video and social media, etc., does allow us to like hear from somebody like that we might not ordinarily.
Yeah.
I also just want it to be a fucking reminder to all of the viewers how many fucking people make a fucking show and bring artistry to it that all works together to read that script and to, if this theory and or all the other stuff that's been laid out, to be like, okay, we're going to give her this Lisa Simpson's baby necklace because she shoots Mr. Burns. Like, y'all can't even spell that.
And you know what? That's a great way to wrap up, is thinking about the whole team, because we obviously give so much credit to Mike White as the auteur, and he's obviously brilliant, but it does take so many people down to costume, hair and makeup. Saxon looking that rejuvenated. Makeup team did their job. They did that skin treatment right. He looks great. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everybody does contribute to these bits of storytelling that also allow us to create these as viewers and as the audience and as the people discussing it online. The reason we get to come up with all these theories is because of these Easter eggs, right? This Taylor Swiftification Easter egg of it all. It may not all be Mike White, because it may not all be a plot, but somebody put it there on that team every single time because there's something resonant about it, and that's the beauty of collaboration in filmmaking and television.
And then what we as critics and audience members add as well. I love you, girl.
I love you, girl. I love everyone who listens to Stream Queens. You are the best people.
Please, if you haven't gotten the chance, rate and review us wherever you listen to pods. Follow us on Stream Queens the pod. I'm Julia Went.
I'm Erin McKeon.
This is Stream Queens.
Woo!
Love you, girl.